Coach Mike McConathy, whose team has won 3 in a row and now begins the most important 18 games of the year. The Southland Conference season opens Wednesday night at home against defending co-champion Nichols, 6:30 tip in Prather. And Coach, you've certainly got to have a better feeling about your team now than you have had for quite a while.
Well, it's nice to be able to get a few wins, and anytime you can get one, it's great. But if you're able to get 2 or 3, that's even special, especially heading in conference play. And we're excited about the possibilities. We still know that we've got a long way to go. Unfortunately, in our league, it's an opportunity to play just like as any other league. But if the conference championship runs through Katy, Texas, and it's a double bye system, so you need to go win the whole league or be 1 and 2 so that you be put in a position to where you get to sit and watch. I've always felt like that sometimes is a negative, but it is an opportunity to play, and it's an opportunity to get better, because I always have felt like the best teams that are playing in March are the teams that you want to represent our league, and I'm very much in the minority when you talk about that, but it's a great opportunity to improve and get better. And we've been playing a lot of people. They're going to have to narrow our scope down to where we're playing 10, with the exception of foul trouble. And when the guys come in, they got to do a good job. If they don't do a good job, then we got to move on to the next guy. That's not being saying that everybody isn't important, because everyone is important. Every man on a roster is important, and we want them to come and make a contribution. They make a contribution however it might be. Some guys make a greater contribution on the bench than they do on the floor. And it's about pulling for the other guy, caring about the other guy, loving the other teammate, and improving to get better.
Your team has gotten better over the last month. How are those phases, identifying those? Tell us how they've improved. That was a pretty poorly phrased question. Hopefully you can answer it better.
Well, I think that, collectively we've gotten better because we're maybe understanding and defining our roles, but I also think that confidence helps tremendously. And in the last 3 ball games, winning 3 games in a row, beating Southern in Shreveport was a big step in the right direction. Then coupled by Louisiana College win, and Louisiana College win is a good win. One, because Rennie Mason's a really good coach, but the other reason is that's a storied, historical, what's the word I'm looking for, rivalry against Louisiana College. Even though they play in a different league now, they're like 9 or 10 and 1. And was really, really a good win for us. We had a great crowd here, unfortunately, Doug, but fortunately you were not here because you were having some medical issues that we hope that are headed in the right direction for you. But then
the charisma bypass worked okay.
Okay. But, and then winning yesterday against Champions Christian. And that was an interesting game in itself, because Coach Rourke, who would coach with Wayne Yates, was coaching on the other end. And it was just a different kind of game. Someone that follows our program, that was here, that loved Natchitoches. So it was a little bit different, Did we play great? We didn't play great, but I think we got the rust kicked off a little bit, and that's what you're looking for. And some guys stepped up and had some nice games and shot the ball a little bit better. But the other thing was, Brian White was able to get in the game and was able to play 20 minutes. And with the long-awaited arrival of Brian White, bless his heart, he'd been out with an ankle injury. He sustained about 3 weeks or 2 weeks before the season, and had tried to play at UTEP back on around December the 1st. And to no avail, played about 10 minutes and re-injured the ankle. And he got through last night's game, and he was injury-free, a little bit sore. But so we're excited to have him back. And, some other guys are hopefully stepping to the forefront. We're hoping that Ishmael Lane will be the guy that we know that he can be. He had a nice game last night. In the previous couple of games, he's played pretty solid. The beatdown of playing at what I call the guarantee gauntlet. It took me 20 years to come up with that phrase. It's hard to understand how that really impacts a player or a group of players until you actually are on the bus with them coming back from Texas Tech, or you're in the immediate area constantly after you've gone in and played those games. And I think it's just a psychological effect that there's no way that anyone can feel it unless they've been right involved with it. And I know when you ride back on a bus from Texas Tech, I mean, you kind of get the feel for that. And the irony of that is we got beat soundly, but there was not a negative feel on that bus because the guys responded to what we asked them to do at halftime. They came out and really performed high level, cutting down on turnovers. But one of the things, Doug, that you didn't ask this question, but I'm gonna give it to you anyway, is that we've got a pattern that's developed that we as coaches met with our team this morning and asked for them to give us some direction, some insight, and said, okay, explain to us how our turnovers in the second half are about 2.5 to 3.5 per half, but in the first half we're anywhere from 11 to 13 range. What is causing that? And you go back to Southern Shreveport 2, last night 2, against Louisiana College 2 or 3, Texas Tech I think it was 3, 4 against Texas A&M after we turned it over 14 in the first half. And it was interesting because I don't think that they had ever thought about that way, the team. And it was just good to pose the question to say, hey, why is this happening? We didn't get any definitive answers, but I think there was a lot. It was thought-provoking, and it was, from a standpoint, are we playing less players in the second half than we are the first half? Or is it taking us a little while to get mentally focused during the first half, and then the second half we're okay? So that was a really interesting place to be this morning in our huddle when we're talking about that. And I go back to this a lot of times in coaching, parenting, teaching, everything. A lot of times we assume that players know what the question you were asking and how it impacts the game, when in reality, they don't really know what you're asking. And so if you don't stop and ask them, do you understand what I'm saying? Or in the middle of practice, say, okay, Jimmy, this happened today. Jimmy, what did I just tell you? You really don't know if young men are grasping it. And in that situation, Jimmy got the most difficult part of it. He did a great job with answering. He was locked in, and then, he kind of slipped toward the end of it. So, there's a lot that we as coaches can learn too.